Hello and welcome everybody, and thank you guys for joining me again. My name is Wilkie and I'm here with another Lost Ark guide, and we're going to be talking about my Lance Master skill build, and it's going to be a little bit of a guide of what I do or use in PvP. Now you may ask yourself, why the hell is he making a guide for Season 1 content when we're literally a few days away from Season 2 launching on the Russian server, which is where I'm currently playing on. And that is exactly the reason why. I do want to have some kind of reference to what exactly the changes are and have some kind of footage to come back to, alongside with giving you guys the option with an almost, well, the latest kind of build that you can have on Season 1 before we get to change. So without further ado, we're gonna dive right into the skills with a bit of explanation. Generally, this is like the go-to build that you'll see on a lot of the websites on the Russian skill calculator. I think this is also the build that ABC uses. He's a very popular Korean streamer who plays a variety of classes and also has a bunch of Lance Master videos on YouTube. So go check him out for some high-level gameplay of Lance Master, not only, but also, and he's also very well versed in the game and talks English most of the time, so you can also ask him for advice. But generally, we're just gonna start off with the first abilities. We're just gonna go through all the hotkeys: Q to E, to R, to A, to F. So first of all, Descent of the Moon. I think this one is self-explanatory. Having the second tripod makes the skill a stun, which is the only stun that you have as a Lance Master, making it incredibly potent, because this is the only ability that allows you to knock people out of tenacity, which is really, really good. You can stun, especially destroyers, for example, out of their spin to win. You can just set that up and boom, hit that. Super, super good. So it can also be used defensively for some maximum distance, for example, if you do that or that. Or you can do that. Or you can do it that order. For some long-range engages. Basically, your options are quite limitless. It can be used, like I said, both offensively, defensively. Very, very good. And having a stun is incredibly, incredibly potent. Moonrise, one of your go-to combo starters. You definitely want to max that one. First of all, it deals quite a bit of damage. And the third tripod makes this skill essentially what it is, with fairly large range. I think a lot of people underestimate of how far you can reach, especially with the last tripod. The other options, well, I guess this play is self-explanatory, and that one grants more airtime. Like I said, very good as a combo starter. It can also be used as a combo extender, for example, if you just bash or if you land any skill like this. So let's summon a Scarecrow here. Like I said, you can use that and follow up with that. Like I said, options are limitless. Definitely a very, very potent skill, and it's also very quick. So you definitely want to have that one. Alright, E. This one, Moonblade Fury, is... I'm not a big fan of this ability, although I think it's very, very good. So the dash itself, you can see that this one already staggers. So it's not like the end hit that only knocks down. Whiffed. So the last one does the knockdown. But even if you just charge into enemies, this is very, very good. So for example, what you can do is follow up like this, because this is a very quick ability here, and you can set that one up for another CC. Like I said, very, very good. Can be used as an extender. Damage is not the greatest one. Can also be used for mobility if you want to get out of harm's way, because it does a slight dash. So you can do like boom, just to create some more distance between you and your enemy. Both utility and capabilities of CC or combo extension. Damage, like I said, though, really not the biggest thing. On to Ring of Light, which is essentially your highest DPS skill outside of your ultimate, and going to be your main DPS skill for most of the time, really. Super, super good. Incredibly good, incredibly fast with the tripods. I basically would never go for the other ones, simply because having shorter cooldowns is always good. Seizing the initiative makes the skill fire a lot faster, because if you don't have that one, save that one. So this is how it normally looks like. And seizing the initiative makes this one so much faster. So you can actually also use it reactively. Generally though, I recommend not using this ability if the enemy is not CC'd, so you can get the damage from Subdue, which is most likely going to be your build for PvP. So you can see agility, and Subdue is what I'm running. But super, super high damage on this ability. Definitely try to make sure. There's a lot of options how you can set this one up. Basically, you can do that one, boom, or after this one, or after this one. Plenty of options on how or when to do it. Generally though, always make sure that the enemy CC'd first. If you run out of anything else and the enemy standing still, you can also just whack them. It's also gonna hurt, but for maximum DPS, try and CC your enemy first. Alright, Sky Wheel, another very hard-hitting ability, but I guess this one's a little bit more of a utility as well. You definitely want to get this one at least to stage 2 to get tenacity on it. Super, super good ability. First of all, it hits quite hard. It can be used as a combo extender, it can be used as a combo starter, and you have tenacity, which is really, really good. What I mean by combo extender is you've seen me do that before that if you do that move while the enemy is in air, you sort of juggle them forward. Same goes for that. You can extend their airtime with that, which is incredibly good. So generally what I do most of the fights, I follow up with that and do it that way, or follow up with any other CC depending on what they do. Because when they are in mid-air, there's nothing they can do. There's no option for them to react during that time. So this is guaranteed damage. If you land that one, and you follow up with that one, this is something they can never dodge. So this is guaranteed damage, high DPS on the skill itself, very decent cooldown, and like I said, can be used for the tenacity as well in terms of baits. Moon Virgo Dance is essentially pretty much a mobility tool, however, it has stiffness super armor, and it also causes stagger as usual, so this can be used to set up traps, can be used to set up baits. You can just sit on your spear and wait to get down, or use it again and go back into a different direction. I don't think this skill really needs more explanation than that. So where did we have Crescent Moon? Oh boy, such a powerful ability for both 1v1s and 3v3s. Very good to interrupt fights, very good to set up traps, very good to help teammates out in need. Very, very good range with a tornado. Super good CC. Damage is also not neglectable. Like if you hit with the first abilities, like with the first hits, the spin and everything, this thing hits quite hard on top of that. But like I said, most of the time you're gonna use this for CC, and you can follow up, like I said, with this ability, or you can just set it up like that. If you time that one correctly, the enemy cannot dodge out first. Because usually what happens if you CC the enemies first, they're gonna use their dodge roll. And what happens if you time your tornado right, the enemy is just about to land when you whack them. So there's no option for them to TP or dash out. Takes a little bit of practice though. Generally, I think it's more advisable to bait their cooldowns out first. But if you're content with your abilities, you can set this one. The enemy does not have an option to dodge out. Super, super good. Last but not least, Eclipse Path. This one is, I think, also a no-brainer. You definitely want this tripod here, because without the tripod, this skill just... well, it doesn't really work that great. Staggers as usual, super quick, also pretty decent damage. And I showed you something that you can use. For example, you can do it that way. That way. Like I said, your options are limited. You can pretty much follow up with anything you want. Can also be used sort of like to dash away because you're moving. You're not really protected during that move, and you have like a short idle downtime at the end. So keep that in mind. And it doesn't have any CC properties on it. So it doesn't break tenacity or anything. So if the enemy has super armor on, don't try to knock them out with that. This is as far as the moon stance or the blue skills go. On to the red ones. Sunstroke can be used as a filler. It deals okay damage. I think if you don't have anything to use, it's better to use that than just poke with auto attacks. Poke with that one. I don't really think there's any explanation needed for that. As far as W goes, Light Blades, you definitely want this one so that the moves come out faster. This one actually deals pretty good amount of damage. Also has a CC on it. It can be used as a combo extender or to catch people off guard. Keep in mind though that you're locked into parts of the animation, so you shouldn't just like shoot this one out and hope for the best. So generally I advise you only use this skill in a combo. Scorching Wave, I like this ability despite not having skill points in it. I dumped the remainder of my skill points in it because I think the damage on it is still really good. So whenever you run out of anything else that hits harder than this ability, for example, you don't have your red dragonflight, you can always pop this one in, follow up with that one. Really, really decent ability. Also has a fairly decent range on it, but a very long cast time. So make sure you know what you're doing because you're completely unprotected and stationary when doing it. Solar Eclipse, what an amazing ability for... Well, yeah, what an amazing ability overall. Super good DPS, very, very good mobility, super long knockdown, just an overall incredible ability. You can change direction as soon as you start, so it's not fixed. Like, let's say I'm trying to do sideways or I'm gonna go back. So this move can be used to move in and out of fights. The only downside is you're not protected besides stagger immunity. So stuff like knockbacks, tornadoes, stuns, and freezes will still knock you out. In the worst case, you're gonna get frozen mid-air. So it does need a little bit of practice to know that the enemy does not CC you out, especially since your hitbox always remains on the ground. So even if you're like mid-air where you appear atop again, you can get CC'd out of that one. Mantra of Dawn, I think this one is self-explanatory. Actually, I lied. It's that you have 2 stuns, and one of them being Mantra of Dawn. Incredibly potent incredibly potent skill. Can be used, like I said, can also be used to counter Destroyer's Charge or Spin to Win. However, that's a little bit difficult, so I'd advise not to do it. Generally, it does only absorb non-stun, freeze, or anything, so exactly, skills cannot be interrupted by knockback effects, so you can't really get knocked up, you can't be tornadoed. Stuns and freezes will still go through, so keep that in mind. You cannot counter everything, but only a set amount of abilities. Still, knowing that and knowing when to use that, first of all, it deals a lot of damage, gives you a lot of opening to either follow up with a different move, or just get out of the fight to reset it. Last but not least, we have Red Dragon Blight. Now this one's probably actually harder hitting than Ring of Light, but the setup for this one is a lot more difficult. Generally, there are a few ways to set this one up. So first of all, this is a charging ability, so you want to set this one up and release when your bar is in this last segment here. Super hard hitting skill, absolutely demolishes it. Very, very easy to use. It's not really that hard to land in that thing. Biggest drawback is you have this fixed cone here, plus if you're a camera, like if you're for example, what I'm trying to tell you here is that if you're looking that direction and you press the button and then try to change direction, you're not going to be able to turn around all that much. So make sure you're facing the enemy, or that the cursor is in the direction of the enemy. Because even if you do, if you do it that way, you still have the cone, but there's only so much you can do here. Let's just summon this guy here. Like I said, for the most basic setup, this is one of these, but like I said, you can also do it like that. And pretty much any other setup works just fine. Anything that has a long enough knockdown, make sure to use it. You also have your ultimate abilities, but I don't really think I have to explain all that much about them. As far as the skills go, this is essentially the skill build. Like I said, Moonblade Fury, you want Swift Throw here. Descent of the Moon, you want the second tripod for the stun. Moonrise, max it. These tripods. Crescent Moon, I think this is a no-brainer too. Ring of Light, your best DPS option you have. Sky Wheel, some people like to go for Furious Presence, and this one is incredibly good in 1v1s. In 3v3s, it can also be useful. That one is pretty much a personal choice though. Definitely get it at least to Tripod Stage 2. because you do want that tenacity on it. Moon Virgo Dance. Some people like to go up for that increased maneuverability. I'm not really a big fan to use the skill defensively because I think even with the added movement distance, you're kind of relatively long on your spear. So usually if somebody tries to catch you, they will, even with the increased distance. Eclipse Path, like I said, very good to catch people off guard. Pretty decent range, pretty decent damage, very, very quick on the execution. Light Blades, if you don't like the skill, you don't have to do that one. That frees up skill points, for example, for maxing Skywheel or different skills. Scorching Wave, like I said, I don't think it's worth to put points into here. Solar Eclipse, it is optional to get the increased range. I think it makes it easier to catch people off guard. If you're familiar, or if you don't really want the skill points into that ability because you need them somewhere else, you can still do that. Mantra of Dawn, I think this is a no-brainer as well. Without the stun, it's not really that useful. I mean, it's still useful as a counter, but you're not stunning people, so they can essentially just keep on hammering you. And if they have stuff like Stiffness Super Armor or Tenacity going, well, you're out of luck. They're still just gonna use this skill regardless. Red Dragonflight, I think this one is a no-brainer. You definitely want those, just because of how hard this ability hits. I already showed you like a few bread and butter combos that I use, but generally, like I said, combos may look like something like this. Boom. Pull up. Let's despawn this guy. Remember to keep an eye on your CC limit. So for example, we have one knock-up, another knock-up, we have another knock-up, and another one, and this is gonna be the last one in your sequence. So make sure you understand the CC system, and I'll probably make a video about the CC system and damage reductions, the diminishing returns, on how that works, what CCs work in what way, because there's a variety of things that come into play when CCing enemies in PvP and Lost Ark. Essentially, you have 3 types of CCs, but like I said, I'll cover this in a different type of video. Other combo starters, like I said, might be like this. Pull up with that. Or, like I said, this is like probably the most go-to combo. There are plenty of ways to do it. Generally, I like to use the Eclipse Path in conjunction like so. And like I said, options are limitless. Do what you feel like, do what you want. Don't underestimate the damage and the power of Lancemaster. While they don't have the burst, for example, let's say of a Berserker, of a Fury, of a Summoner, hell, even of a Destroyer, they can still pack a punch, and they have a lot of rigid immunity or stiffness immunities, and they can chase down enemies quite well while having a lot of knockdowns. They're not as peely as infighters. I think infighters can stick to your butt a lot better, but they still have a nice mix. On top of that, having that tornado, which just gives you so much of a big option to enter team fights, destroy team fights, break the map, or help your teammates in need. Very, very good stuff. Anyways, this is all. Like I said, thanks everybody for joining, and this is mainly for the purpose of seeing what the changes are going to be like once Season 2 hits next week. Maybe this was helpful for some of you guys who play Lancemaster on the Russian server, as the Japanese server currently does not have Lancemaster, so we don't exactly know when it's going to be released. As far as I'm concerned, I'm definitely planning to play Lancemaster, but I'm not sure if it's going to be released in the EU NNA version, so I might have to opt in for a different class until we get Lancemaster available. Anyways, this is all for today's video. Hopefully this was helpful for some of you guys, and as far as the rest goes, I'm streaming as usual every Monday at 1700 CEST, and other days, those that I will announce on my Twitter, on my Discord, or in future streams and videos, so keep your eyes peeled on that, and I will hopefully see you guys either in the next stream or in the next video, so have a good one, and see ya.